Well, hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sotonye Afiesimam. This is Today in History for the 18th of July. Let's roll back the blind to the year 64. So it's 64 AD and we meet Emperor Nero. Now, on this day, Nero's Rome, I beg your pardon, burns. Now, it's interesting because a lot of people at the time thought that Emperor Nero was responsible for this fire. He was playing the lute while Rome burned, so obviously people made their conclusions based on the fact that he was nonchalant. Now, all this turned out not to be true because Nero was far away in another town, far away. So he doesn't even know how to play the lute anyway. So that was another thing that came up, that he couldn't have been playing the lute because he didn't even know how to play the lute. Then history also tells us that he blamed the Christians for the fire and executed many of them. Hundreds, it says in the reports, hundreds of Christians were executed on the pretext that they started the fire. The other reason why people thought that he was the one behind the fire was that he didn't like the way Rome was planned at the time, and this fire was for him, it would enable him redraw the street plans of Rome. Okay, so that's what happened on this day in the year 64. Let's move on to the year 1918. Nelson Mandela was born on this day, so happy posthumous birthday. He would have been 102 today had he lived. So that's a painting of the anti-apartheid campaigner who eventually became president, the first black president of South Africa. He became president on the 10th of May in 1994. Now, in his speech on that day, he says, "Today, all of us do, by our presence here and by our celebrations in other parts of our country and the world, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud." So that was a part of the speech he made on the 10th of May in 1994, the day he became president of South Africa. You can read more about Nelson Mandela. Most people around the world know about him, but he changed history in South Africa after a long time campaigning for equal rights between the native South Africans and mainly white South Africans. Okay, let's move on to this day in 1940. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, popularly known as FDR, took office on this day in 1940 as America's president. So he was re-elected. His first term was from 1933 as the 32nd American president. But this was the day he was nominated for an unprecedented third term. He would eventually be elected for a fourth term. And he is the only US president to serve more than 2 terms. So that's FDR for you, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And obviously was a very popular president. He was the one who took America to victory over Germany during the Second World War. That perhaps was why he was so popular with the American people. So that's President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who took office for the third time as America's president on this day. 1950. Sir Richard Charles Nicholas Branson was born on this day. So Richard Branson is 70 today, so happy birthday, Sir Richard Branson. As you may all know, he is a British business magnate. He's an investor, he's an author, and a former philanthropist. Interesting, former philanthropist. That's a good one. Does that mean he doesn't give stuff out anymore? I don't think that's true. Okay, he founded the Virgin Group in the 1970s, which controls more than 400 companies in various fields. His net worth today is $4.1 billion US dollars. So that's Richard Branson. Happy birthday. Guys, go out and get his book, Losing My Virginity. It's an absolute read. You can see where it all started, and today he's a multi-billionaire. So if you have a business idea or you've already started something, don't give up. Just keep plodding on, keep plowing on. Just as long as you're making progress every day. There are going to be setbacks. Obviously, he's had many. He just built his, I think, the Australian arm of Virgin Atlantic not too long ago. I might be wrong. It might be the British one. I'm not sure, but he recently built out his Virgin Atlantic airline. So these are tough times for any business. But you have to, if you have a business idea, you just have to keep on keeping on. Giving up shouldn't be an option. As long as you've done everything that you think you should do, keep moving. So this is one of the people who inspires me greatly, Richard Branson. Happy birthday once more, Sir Richard Branson. Okay, guys, there is something at the end of this video, another video, which is quite interesting, which I think you guys should stay on to listen to. Let's move on to the next item today. Senator Ted Kennedy, pictured here. This is what he would have looked like on this day in 1969. He drives his Oldsmobile car off a bridge shortly after leaving a party on Chappaquiddick Island in the United States. He escaped, luckily, the submerged car, but his passenger, who was 28-year-old Mary Jo Kopechne, an American secretary, did not survive. She was in a close team, part of a close team known as the Boiler Room Girls. So that's the scene of the accident. Tow truck with the words "fetch 'em" just towards the end of the tow truck, which I found quite interesting. Just bemused. And that's another picture of the scene, a diver reaching for presumably Mary Jo Kopechne, who, like I said, didn't survive. And this is what she looked like at the time. So we remember her today as well. Lost her life on this day in 1969. Last but not least, on this day, a former president of the United States, Barack Obama's Dreams from My Father, is published. It's a story of race and inheritance, a memoir by a little-known law professor named Barack Obama. So he wrote this book before entering politics, and 13 years later, 13 years after this book was published, on this day in 1995, he was elected America's 44th president, America's first black president as well. So that's him there with his mother. And that's the more popular face of Barack Obama. Okay, so on that note, we shall end Today in History, but not before you watch this video, which I think is very inspiring. This is Zinzi.
On behalf of my son,
died 5
myself, and the Mandela family, would like to humbly thank you for bestowing this award on my father. We've been robbed of childhoods, we've been robbed of a normal family life because of the choices that he made, choices that we're very proud of, nonetheless. And it being a Lifetime Achievement Award, we thought this was the ideal platform to share with you how he wishes his legacy to be celebrated. 2 years ago, my father announced on his birthday, the 18th of July, when he turned 90, he announced the Mandela Day Initiative, which is an initiative that says that first and foremost, we must begin to rely less and less on his physical presence, his image and his likeness, but we must begin to implement the work. That's the greatest gift that we can give him in his sunset years. And what Mandela Day is all about is a celebration of the fact that he's donated 67 years of his life to the greater cause of humanity.
I'll listen attentively to this guy.
Okay. And he asks of us, each and every one of us, that on that day in particular, that we donate 67 minutes of our time to doing good. And your donation need not be confined to financial currency. We have to focus more on emotional and spiritual currency. If you know of somebody who's in need, if you know of a sick neighbor, for example, if you could spend 67 minutes of your time helping that person with household chores, if you know of somebody who... And in terms of reconciliation, if you have a particular problem with a friend, a family member, with whom you find it very hard to reconcile, if you cannot dialogue with that person for 67 minutes, then you can at least dedicate 67 minutes of prayer for that person to become a better person. My father has often said that he sees the potential in each and every one of us to rise to our higher selves. He has seen this in the people who caused his suffering and the suffering of the majority of the people of South Africa. He was able to say, but I can see that these people here, despite the fact that they've been oppressors for almost 400 years, have the capacity to be turned around, have the capacity to become better people. And together with them, we can build an ideal South Africa, and that has happened.
Now, I'll pause this because I want to just chip in. I have preached, in quotes, forgiveness. A lot has happened in our world for hundreds of years, and recently. It's important not to be bitter. It's important to let go of racial prejudice, of anger, prejudice within even your own household. It's just not worth it. It's not worth breaking relationships for petty things, petty issues. Life is too short to hold grudges. Not saying that there aren't relationships that are toxic, relationships that are dangerous, that are not right for you, but forgive. You can forgive and let go, and move on with your life. So Nelson Mandela, who millions and millions, possibly billions of people worldwide look up to and respect, was of the opinion that we should forgive, we should bring these people together, we should see the positives in people who do not like us, people who persecute us, people who even kill us. I'm going to carry on with this video so I don't keep it too long. And
so the greatest gift that we can give him in his sunset years, and believe me, these are his sunset years, he often jokes, like when I visit him and I say, "Dad, are you okay? You look tired." He says, "Darling, I'm not sick. I'm just old. I'm 92.
That's a good one.
And in terms of the Mandela Day initiative, there have been some very humorous attempts at upholding the legacy. I'm not aware whether our ambassador there, His Excellency Mr. Ibrahim Rasool, knows that last year the South African police arrested 67 criminals.
That's interesting, isn't it?
So numbers 68 and so forth got away.
Okay, guys, on that hilarious note, we'll end today's Today in History. Join me tomorrow for another edition of Today in History for the 19th of July. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up and also consider subscribing so that you receive updates of my uploads. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate you watching, spending time with me to watch my videos. I shall see you tomorrow for another edition of Today in History. Stay safe, guys. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.